What would you do if the love of your life suddenly disappeared? This is the story of Miriam and Jonah. This will shock you. Miriam laughed at a small joke. Jonah noticed how her hand shook when she reached for change. That small thing felt like a promise. That was how Miriam and Jonah started their love life. For a year they lived simply. Mornings were coffee on the balcony. Evenings were cooking together and quiet radio. They learned each other's silences. Jonah kept receipts for things he never bought. Miriam kept a list of things she could not say out loud. At first, those things were a private joke. The first crack came with a late phone call. Jonah stepped outside and spoke softly. He came back smiling, but his eyes were empty. Miriam felt uneasy. She put the feeling in a drawer and tried to forget. Suspense grew in small things. A lipstick on a collar. A message deleted too fast. A name that was said and then dropped. Miriam began to watch the apartment like someone watching a slow leak. She timed his returns and read his excuses. Each time she asked, Jonah apologized and sounded sincere. She forgave him because forgiveness felt like love. Then money problems started. A bank letter arrived. Jonah said he had borrowed for a business. He showed plans and spreadsheets. Miriam saw small withdrawals from their joint account. She found a second set of keys and a name on a receipt that matched one on his phone. The receipts were no longer a joke. One night, after a fight, Miriam followed Jonah. She told herself she only wanted to know. She trailed him through the city until he went into a building she had never seen him enter. From the doorway, she watched him go into a room where people laughed. She watched him kiss a woman. Her breath stopped. The next morning, Jonah admitted the affair. He called it a mistake. He promised to stop. He promised to fix the money. Miriam wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe the man who had held her hand through a fever and left notes in her bag. She tried to stitch their life back together. The disaster did not come all at once. It came in small, avoidable things that added up. Jonah's debts were bigger than he said. The business was a paper plan built on other people's money. The woman on the receipts was part of a scheme that took money from accounts. The bank froze their account. The landlord sent a notice. The lights in their apartment went out. On the night the power failed, Miriam found unpaid bills and a lawyer's letter. Jonah sat at the table with his head in his hands. She touched him and felt only the heat of his skin and the distance of his choices. He left with a bag and a promise. He did not come back. The next morning, the building filled with sirens. People said there was a gas leak and an explosion. The apartment above had caught fire. Miriam stood on the street with a blanket and watched the firefighters. Later, she learned Jonah had been in that building that night. He had gone to talk to a man who had threatened them. He had been in the stairwell when the blast happened. The disaster was both sudden and slow. There were bodies to identify and statements to give. People asked questions about loans and partners and the woman on the receipts. Nights came when Miriam sat alone and replayed the last weeks like a film. She searched for a moment where she could have changed the story. Grief came in practical ways. Accounts closed. Doors were sealed. Paperwork turned a person into a file. Grief came in private ways, too. She had dreams where Jonah came back and said sorry. She woke with the taste of smoke in her mouth. People offered words that could not fix what was broken. Months later, Miriam found a small note in a book Jonah had loved. He wrote about fear and shame. He wrote about debt and how it pulled him under. He wrote that the woman had promised quick fixes and then left when things went wrong. He said he had tried to make amends and had tried to protect her. The note did not fix anything. It was a quiet apology. The city moved on. Markets opened and buses ran. Miriam learned to sleep without Jonah's keys on the table. She learned to make coffee for one. She kept the note in a drawer and read it sometimes. The disaster had come from small betrayals and secrets. Love had been both shelter and the way ruin entered their life. She kept the balcony plant alive. She kept the radio low. On nights when the city smelled of rain and diesel, she stood at the window and let the memory of Jonah be what it was. He had loved her and he had failed her. The suspense in small things became a quiet that held both pain and the slow work of going on.